We are so back, or are we? We're going to discuss that in today's show. What is the next target for Bitcoin? Some people are saying 50K. Some crazy people are saying 75, 100K. We're going to take a look at the charts. Also, did you put in a trade on Bitcoin in the 1 hour? If you did, congratulations, you made money. We'll go over that setup that we shared with you yesterday. We're also talking about BlackRock. Over $2 billion in Bitcoin that they now hold and control. Also, they're doing webinars and seminars. And we have a new theory of who has created Bitcoin and why. The answer might just shock you. Stay tuned for today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, stale information, repackage it up in a fun and sexy Sin City Crypto kind of way.
Shout out to Matt the Mailman. I'm wondering if he's actually a mailman.
Maybe.
You know who's not a mailman? Forrest. You know how I know this? Because, well, he joins our show every Friday. Forrest, how you doing, man?
Good, thanks for having me on, guys.
Did you ever used to be a mailman?
No, never been a mailman.
No idea why that matters. Okay. Forrest.
On my resume.
Are we so back? Are we so back, or are we still not back?
Yeah,
no
I'm
charts,
pretty
no
bullish.
nothing. Just sentiment. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the sentiment shifted from oh crap, Grayscale is dumping $500 million of Bitcoin every day to Grayscale is dumping $500 million of Bitcoin every single day, and we're barely able to break below 40K. I think personally, I'm pretty bullish. I think we're about to run it up. I could be wrong on that, but I've been building long positions. I've been buying. I'm bullish.
What about you, Robin? Just from a sentiment standpoint, are we so back?
Yeah, I mean, the trend has been up and to the right ever since the recent low of Bitcoin, or the low of Bitcoin this bear market cycle, 16K. We had a natural pullback. I mean, you look at any other run up to a bull market, you move up 10%, you pull back 4%, everybody freaks out, or 5%, whatever it is. There is usually some big drawdowns at some point during these bull market rallies, right? Because I mean, that's what we're going into.
30% drawdowns are
yes, so yeah, we usually get I think it's like 2 of those, sometimes 3 of those on a cycle, or 2 of them on a cycle. The big 20-30% is the one that everybody freaks out about and thinks the bull market is over. So it's the ebbs and flows of the market. We're not going to get to a new all-time high without having significant pullbacks on the way up. So I think that's exactly what it was. I think that 40K, even though we dipped under 40K, is extremely strong support. I think that people are just see the value of Bitcoin, and they're just going to jump in and buy it if it gets too far below 40K. And I think that's what we saw. So 40K, pretty strong support. We did trade under there for a slight amount of time, but I don't see it staying there much longer. Will we go back under the 40K? Sure, it's possible. I would say probably about 30% chance we go back under there. But I think for the most part, I feel pretty confident that moving forward, we'll be testing 45.
You said 40K a lot. You didn't once say 50K. You know who has said 50K is Max Kaiser, my hero. Just kidding, he's not my hero. But yeah, Max Kaiser, a lot of people's heroes. So he expects Bitcoin to reach a particular target soon, which is, of course, 50K, as the headline gave away, after it was delayed due to certain circumstances. He tweeted that the GBTC equilibrium has been achieved. The expected surge of Bitcoin to the 50,000 high was delayed, according to him, due to some Wall Street players blocking Bitcoin ETF purchases. Do you guys agree with that? Well, is there, Forrest, if you were to put your finger on one thing, and I'll give you some examples, right? Grayscale selling off their Bitcoin. Rob and I had a back and forth yesterday about how much OTC affects the order books and the price, right? If we're buying and selling OTC, how much does that really affect the price? Was it the psychology of the average investor and trader? oh my God, Grayscale selling off without knowing how it actually works and then trying to front run the move and then selling and people getting liquidated and the cascading effect? Or was it more that, hey, we expected trillions to flow in, but we didn't expect some companies like the second largest asset manager in the world, Vanguard, to block their customers from buying? Can you point your finger at any of those three, or do you have another thesis in mind?
This was, in my opinion, this was just Grayscale selling. Grayscale had to, the Grayscale unwind was the single biggest contributor here, in my opinion. I don't really think like a Vanguard or whoever not allowing people their customers to buy these Bitcoin ETFs is that big of a deal. We see the inflows are pretty massive.
Forrest, they got
The
$7 trillion, right, in assets under management. They're second behind BlackRock.
yeah, but
You can't undersell
they
them.
were, if I'm not mistaken, what James Safer said when he came on here is like they were never going to allow this. They're not Bitcoin friendly. They're not commodity friendly.
They had the futures listed on there.
I think they got rid of the futures
did.
actually
They
to
did.
be more in line with their or not their thesis, but their their beliefs, their alignments. So yeah, I mean, obviously it'd be great if their customers could, but I don't think that was ever necessarily in play. So I don't view that as like something that's like causing the price to dump off. What I think has caused the price to dump off is just the GBTC unwind. I mean, half a billion dollars a day in GBTC getting sold is going to affect the price. Now you also have had buyers stepping in to offset that. And that's why I think we're starting to see price go back up. I think a lot of that supply has been absorbed and you've had buyers come in around 40K and they're continuing to aggressively buy. We're also seeing really strong inflows into the other ETFs.
I think it's all BlackRock manipulating the price. My opinion.
What?
You think
it's BlackRock manipulating prices?
Yeah. I think we've talked about it before, and I'll tell you why. But we've talked about it before. Well, BlackRock, they make money move and they make markets move how they want, right? And they went in to this ETF announcing, saying clearly that they're seeding their ETF fund with Bitcoin a month before it even went live. So 1 month before it went live, when Bitcoin was at 45,000, they were accumulating Bitcoin to seed their ETF to fulfill orders. ETF goes live, orders are being Bitcoin's being sold for 40K, 42K, 41K, 39K, 38K. Hypothetically, all of the Bitcoin that they bought for seeding would be sold all at a loss, right? You buy Bitcoin for 45,000, for 46,000, 44,000. You turn around and sell it to someone that's buying spot Bitcoin on the ETF after it goes live for 40,000. You just lost 10% on every transaction. And I find it very hard to believe that BlackRock would come in saying, hey, we're going to buy $100 million or $200 million worth of Bitcoin at 45,000. Only think about the upward price. Hey, when this goes live, if it goes up to 50K, we're realizing a lot of profits on this Bitcoin because we're going to end up selling it for market price below what we bought. But they have to be in the background thinking, hey, what happens if the price dumps? We need to ensure our business model. We need to hedge. We need to think about what happens if the price dumps. And so they put in short positions. It's not like some crazy theory here. It's just very simple.
So you're saying they bought at 45.
They did.
And on the back end, they maybe got some put options.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even they did buy at 45. In the S1 filings, they said they started seeding with $10 million and that they had more seeding rounds coming up. And so that average buy was at 45,000. Now, for every participant in the ETF that is buying at, say, 40,000, 39,000, they're selling it at a loss. And if you think that BlackRock went in blindly saying like, well, we don't think the price is going to drop, so we're not going to take any preventative measures, I think it's foolish. I think that they put in shorts to hedge their bet that if the price of Bitcoin drops down, they're not going to incur losses from selling it at sub-market price from what they bought it. And that's what I think is happening. And I think BlackRock, is going to manipulate the markets very heavily moving forward. And I think this was the first example, in my opinion.
So my question to, well, not my question, but what I'm going to challenge you watching is if that scares you, don't worry. Because if you just buy and hold the thing for a long period of time, you're going to make money. You're going to make money. Don't try to fight BlackRock. They're saying don't fight the Fed. Don't fight BlackRock. Although I'll note, seeding doesn't mean they bought it. Seeding means they put the money in the account that is going to use to be buy. So could they have bought at 45K? Yes. Could they have bought lower or higher? Yes. I don't know the answer. I don't know if you guys know the answer, but it makes sense. A lot of traders and these companies do the same thing, right? They'll whether they bring in a product like an ETF and then they hedge on the other side. Hedging is very common in the world of traditional finance. I do want to give a shout out. So we had a $2 super chat said, I want to give a shout out to Cam's Blue Wire Tech. Well, guess what? I also want to give a shout out to Cam's Blue Wire Technology, as they are a sponsor of this show. If you want to learn how they can help your business maximize your networking, IT, and cybersecurity, you're going to want to visit bluewiretech.com. There is a link in the description of this video as well.
And I heard that the first time I heard that came from an exec or one of the top members from Coinbase. And so that's why it really stood out to me. It was like a short little sentence. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And what was the guy's name? And they're also the custodial agent for BlackRock as well.
Coinbase's?
Yeah. So someone, a high level member of Coinbase comes out and says, hey, they wouldn't be surprised if they threw some short positions on Bitcoin to hedge their market price by. And I was like, oh.
You think they use Bybit? Forrest, Andrea wants to know, are you sleeping through the night yet, Forrest, with the baby?
Yeah, actually last night was the first night he slept through the night.
Can we get a round of
pretty
applause?
much? I mean, 9:30 to 6:30 or 5:30.
Baby Forrest, if you're watching,
yeah,
congratulations, my friend. I want to share this GBTC outflow shows signs of slowing, easing concerns of a sell-off. Bitcoin GBTC Trust has displayed a ray of optimism as its outflows have recently slowed for the second consecutive day. Data from BitMEX BitMEX research indicates that on January 24th, GBTC outflows amounted to only $429 million, marking the smallest day outflow since the inception of its ETF on the 11th of January. Over the course of the 9 trading days, GBTC has seen outflows of over 100,000 Bitcoin. Guys, 106,000 Bitcoin worth of outflows, and Bitcoin stayed at 40K. Right? You can look at the glass half full or the glass half empty. Then we have this from James Safer, just kind of talking about some of the volume. The Bitcoin price has pushed IBIT's assets beyond $2 billion. This plus likely new flows today should mean that the total worth of BlackRock's ETF will be over $2 billion. So, very interesting. And then I did mention BlackRock today. They held a webinar to educate their clients on Bitcoin. Topics to include: what makes this pivotal moment for investors, insights from early market activity post-launch, deeper dive on the products and features, and resources available to help them educate. Any thoughts on this, guys? And what kind of, are you surprised at how hard BlackRock is going at the advertising and the education and trying to,
Are you going to attend the webinar?
It's already too late. 8 in the morning, Vegas time. Yeah. So, I was thinking about getting on there and then streaming it, but I don't know if that was legal. But
you think that would have made for good content? BlackRock's
yeah, why not? With a little voiceover. Anyways, you want to answer my question?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think
Not you
BlackRock's
first, let's talk to
just,
Robin, but go
I
ahead.
mean, they've got exposure to Bitcoin now through their ETF. All these asset, it's the same thing we've been saying since they announced this thing. They have direct incentive now, aligned incentives to just pump Bitcoin. to get it into the hands as many of their clients as possible. I actually don't even think they care that much about the price. Like as long as price is like, above what they're launching the ETF at, in the long term, I don't think they care if Bitcoin goes to 60K or 600K. Obviously 600K is the much better scenario because that increases assets under management and they make more money. But I think the number one thing they care about is assets under management, which, I mean, obviously price going up is great for them, but I think they just want the most inflows, as many inflows as possible.
I agree.
And they're just going to get Bitcoin in the hands of all their clients.
I agree.
Do so.
I agree with you. The more assets, the more money they make because of their fee. Now, I did say at the top of the show, the very beginning, that there is a new theory. Who created Bitcoin? And leave it to none other than Dan Pena to break it down for us. Guys, be prepared. Buckle in, put your seatbelt on, grab some popcorn and a Capri Sun, and let's get this thing going.
You know who's behind Bitcoin? Putin.
Rocker, can we get a little more juice on this on the laptop?
You know who's behind Bitcoin? Putin.
Putin.
It's a Ruski conspiracy to fuck up the American economy and the world. It's a long-range plan he started 7-8 years ago. He's going to see the demise of the Western financial world while he's still the head of Russia. He's going to be there long enough.
Okay.
And he's already hacked into the brains of all the morons. You, YouTubers.
Wow.
Any flaws in that theory? Robin, I'll ask you first. What are your thoughts? Was it Vladimir Putin that started Bitcoin 7-8 years ago?
I think, could be a smidgen of a chance. I mean, I would put it at an astronomically low percentile.
Could be wrong, but Bitcoin was started.
His thing was 7-8 years. But Putin was alive, and he's not.
Putin is Satoshi.
Can you watch?
If I had to put a percentage chance on it, I'd say 0.005%. But I think there's certain civilians out here. He's more likely to be Satoshi than I am. I'll put it that way.
Let me ask you a question, Robin. What would you rate this sweater?
That's the thing. That was so
That's
distracted. I
sweater.
couldn't even watch.
That's like a 8 out of 10 minimum.
That's a 10 right there.
10.
Nice.
It's a good one. Forrest, what are your thoughts on Dan Pena's thesis? Is Vladimir Putin Satoshi Nakamoto?
Well, I don't think Vladimir Putin has to be Satoshi Nakamoto to have accumulated a large amount of Bitcoin and to use it to his advantage. I think like Putin can leverage the use of Bitcoin for trade, which they've already done, right? They've already, traded, if I'm not mistaken, unless the effects of this were smaller, but they've talked about in the past using gold and Bitcoin to trade for oil to skirt sanctions. I mean, do I think Vladimir Putin's Satoshi Nakamoto? No, I don't think Bitcoin was created by Vladimir Putin. I don't know if Vladimir Putin knows how to code. Maybe he does, and I'm just wrong. But I do think that Bitcoin can be leveraged by nation states.
He was in the KGB, man.
Yeah, but I mean, no, I think Bitcoin it could be is a financial asset that can be leveraged by nation states and is being leveraged by nation states. But I don't think Putin's Satoshi.
Yeah. Robert Vermouth said Putoshi. Jimmy said
That's fun.
Jimmy said Vladi Inu. Don't tempt people because there literally will be a Vladi Inu token somewhere. This is something interesting that I was just the Fed published their balance sheet. It's not really crypto related, but it might kind of give a foresight as far as what is the Fed, where are they headed? You see here, negative on their securities. So 21.5 billion outflows the week of the 17th of January, another almost 1 trillion in outflows on the 25th. Mortgage-backed securities stayed the same. The Fed has said mortgage-backed securities, they are not touching those because they touch those, You want to talk about a potential housing crisis? There you go. So just something interesting to take a look at. We know they've said they're trying to shed off their balance sheet, quantitative tightening, right? The interest rates have been held over 5% for quite some time. They have their next meeting on the 31st of January. What will they do? Who knows? But I want to take a look at the markets. But first, I want to go over this setup we had. Then we'll jump to the markets and we'll jump to Forest. And while I'm doing this, these two indicators I have below here, these are from Lux Algo, and I'll kind of go over them with you. And Rob's going to drop the link in the chat and pin it. Also, we got something going. I'm working on something for our whale members to get you guys some extra incentives. So stay tuned for that. But yesterday we showed this Bitcoin on the 1 hour, right? We're around, where were we yesterday? So yesterday was around 11 a.m. We were right here, okay? And we talked about, hey, we should come up and retest this support or this resistance box here, right? We did have a triple top, 1, 2, 3. We got rejected, right? And then we blew right through it. And my thesis was that, hey, look for this thing to break above, come back, retest, and bump and run. If that happens, you can make an entry there. But this thing blew above it and then blew above that. It did retrace, but not fully to the top end of this resistance zone. And if you had this matrix oscillator from Lux Algo on there, you would have seen a green dot printed right when this thing wicked into this resistance zone, which technically, if you were going just off the oscillator, right? If you're saying, hey, when this thing prints a green dot and the money flow is green, I'm going to go ahead and enter, right? I don't care what anything else happens. You would have been sitting on a 5% profit. Multiply that by however many X's of leverage you guys trade. You would have made money. But if you would have waited for the pullback and retest, you would have entered here, which we had another green dot on the oscillator. So if you entered there, you wouldn't have gotten 5%. You would have gotten about 2.9%. Again, multiplied by your leverage. That's a decent chunk of money for trading on 20, 30, 40, 50x leverage, like some of you degenerates do. But what we are seeing is it looks like we're kind of met at a level of resistance here. And I'll draw a horizontal line here on Bitcoin. Right at this 42,175. We did wick up here back on the 19th of January. We did dip below briefly and came right back above it, retested it twice. This was back on the 15th and 16th of January as well. Wicked below it briefly back on the 12th of January. So pretty important level here. What I'd like to watch is where the money flow starts to go. We do see the trend on the confluence is pretty strong, but on the RSI down here, again from Lux Algo, you can see where we're pretty overbought. And so on the short term, I'd expect a little bit of a pullback. The important thing for me, and Forrest, feel free to queue up a Bitcoin chart and let me know if you're seeing the same thing. But for me, the important thing is going to be to take out, to make a higher low, right? That is what we will resume this uptrend, right? We broke the last higher high, which was this area here, right? We broke above it. Now, are we going to take out this last low, which is right around $40,927? If we can, if we stay above that and we make another higher high past 42,062, that would be a micro uptrend, a change in reversal. That's kind of what I'm seeing on here. Forrest, what are you seeing on your Bitcoin chart? Again, I'm on the 1 hour. If you want to zoom out, or if you want to zoom down or zoom out to the 4 or the 1 day, feel free. But are you kind of seeing the same thing I'm seeing here, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. So, I'll kind of throw on, some margin pressure levels here and kind of use that to mark out this big red box here. This big red box is just essentially our range, right? We had, a deviation above and then another big deviation above, briefly held support on it. We launched the ETF. And now we've deviated below and reclaimed. So we've essentially, this whole big red box is just a range, right? Whenever you reclaim a range after deviating above and below, oftentimes you rotate back to the opposite side of that range most of the time, right? So you can see when we deviated from this range, we immediately just fell right to the bottom, right? The just direct shot right to the bottom of the range. Then when we deviated again, right? And then re-entered the range, what did we do? We moved all the way back down to the bottom of the range. Right. So the top of this range is around $44,500. That's our 10x short margin pressure level. That's where the shorts can start coming in on 10x leverage and hide their liquidation point above this local high, which is currently around 49K. Right. So all we did was we came down to our 4x short margin pressure level. We held it. We reclaimed the kind of the shorter term range, same concept there. And now we've reclaimed the bottom of the range. We might back test this. We might not. I don't know. Sometimes you back test, sometimes you don't. You can see pretty clearly here. We didn't back test when we re-entered the range. And then over here, we didn't back test when we re-entered the range. So this could be a straight shot back up to $44,500. We may, put in the inverse head and shoulders. I'd say that's a great entry if you're looking to get into a Bitcoin long. If it gives you the pullback, if Bitcoin's generous enough to give you the pullback to 40.7, 40.8, I'd say that's a really solid entry, especially if we're starting to hold some support there. And then you just, slide a stop loss down below. But yeah, same thing. I think $44,500 is probably our next move, whether we correct first back down to 40.7. In the meantime, unclear. But 44.5 is the level that I'm paying attention to very, very closely because I actually get quite bearish, right? I know I'm bullish right now because I think we're headed there. But if we get rejected and we move back down to the bottom of the range, and even worse, if we move out of the bottom of the range again after getting rejected, I start to get pretty bearish. I don't think that's going to be the case. It's not my base case. My base case is that we break out of the top of this range and head higher. But again, I think it's really, really important to pay attention to what happens at $44,500. How excited are these shorts to pile in at that 10x short level? I personally think the shorts will get liquidated and we'll go higher, but if they don't and we start pushing back down into the middle of the range, then I get a little bit more bearish.
Forrest,
have to respect the fact
feet to the fire right now. You got to go long or short on Bitcoin right now. $42,042. You going long or you going short?
I'd go long before I'd go short here. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
I'm long right now.
You're long right now. We have.
I've been long since for the last building longs over the last 2 to 3 days on this correction.
Yeah, we a couple weeks ago we put in a leveraged long position on Bitcoin. Our entry was about 42.4. Liquidation price was 37.8. Thankfully, we didn't hit that, but we didn't sell. We're still holding on to that long position, and so obviously we're still in the red. But with this 5.5% move to the upside, if we see something similar, we could be looking at in the profit zone and take some profits on our trade. Rob, what are the rest of the markets looking like?
All right. So we got a lot of green across the board. And so when we take a look at the biggest gainers, you got Conflux up 24% today.
Dynacoin.
Also, stats up. Not surprised to see stats up. Also, I was taking a peek at Stacks this morning. That one was up 4% when I woke up. When you see these big moves out of Bitcoin in the recent history, Stacks has moved pretty handsomely with it. I would expect a little bit stronger performance out of Stacks, maybe something to keep an eye out here. Because if you go back on the 1 month, you can see it's had some pretty big rallies. It went up and tested the $2 range here about a couple weeks ago, and then on the 1 year, you can see it's gotten some healthy growth for an altcoin, and moves with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's moving. I'd expect maybe Stacks to revisit $1.70 again. That's something I would probably keep an eye out there. Another 20% gain on that one, and then some of the other big
ETH doing.
ETH's holding steady, man. ETH said still at 2250. So underperforming Bitcoin right now. I would expect ETH to kind of stay where it is until Bitcoin consolidates. If we say we get Bitcoin sitting at 42,000 for 2 or 3 days over the weekend, wouldn't be surprised to see $2,600 Ethereum coming in on Monday if Bitcoin simply consolidates at this 42K range. With that said, I'm very curious to see where Bitcoin will land over the next 3 days. So I probably wouldn't take a position on ETH until I see, like I mentioned, some consolidation on Bitcoin. Right now, my plays and what I'm kind of looking at are the proxies to Bitcoin. Also, you have Bitcoin Cash. This as much as we joke about it, Bitcoin Cash up less than 2%. I wouldn't be surprised to see that rally as well. And then some of the biggest gainers on the day as well, outside of the ones I mentioned. Sui, which we did a video on yesterday, up 19% today, 21 on the week. And then we got a Cash, which is a AI project that we're pretty interested in as well. And then some of the pullbacks, drawdowns, just a couple on the list here. MakerDAO and Pith Network here.
Is it Pith or Pyth?
It might be Pyth. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not familiar with Pyth. Something that just crossed into the top 100.
I believe it's an oracle on Solana. I believe, I could be wrong. Forrest, is this an oracle was this Solana?
Yes, it's Oracle network, similar to Chainlink, a little bit different. Chainlink's doing a lot of like the CCIP and stuff but these are like price feeds essentially.
Okay.
Price feed oracles for Solana's their main network, but they do stuff across a variety of chains.
Here on CoinMarketCap on the About section, it does say that they feed prices to ETFs and FX pairs commodities. So perhaps this is the reason that is pumping has something to do with the ETFs. Maybe that's an Oracle service that some of the ETF providers just throwing that wildly out there, just off of a quick read on About there. Now, I do want to give a little love to the chat here. If you are new, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. We got 70 likes and 200 viewers. So about 1/3 of you have liked the channel, 2/3 have not. So to you, I call to action. Hit the like button. Now, if you're new here, say hello. We got Duke Juan, Mario, Danny H, Joshua C, Cool Cat Crypto, K, Candle Daddy, Hot Dogger, and to all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City.
So I'm looking at this ETH chart here, and now Forrest, if you want to pull up an ETH chart too, I'll kind of show what I'm seeing, and then let me know what you're seeing on here. So I got ETH on the daily. So these are lines that I had drawn. This is weeks ago, right? So I got a line at 23.52 and one at 21.68. As you can see here, just perfectly, right? Consolidation in that zone. Failed to break above it. Failed to break below it. We did break above it back on January 10th. Came back down, settled in right at that lower line of that resistance or that support. But what I'm seeing here on the matrix oscillator, I'm taking a look at where we're at on the confluence. That the trend is still red. The hyperwave is below 20, which the last time we saw something similar, right? Because history doesn't always repeat itself, but it sure rhymes sometimes. We take a look here, right? Confluence on the trend was bright red. We saw the hyperwave was below 20, and then we saw a green dot print, and ETH was sent from up about 40%, 37 to 40%. Well, where are we now, right? Confluence on the downtrend, hyperwave below 20, no green dot yet, but we are seeing a green candle. The only thing I'd be worried about is meeting some getting rejected off of this 2360 level. Forrest, do you think this is a good setup for a long entry on Ethereum, or are you seeing something different?
Yeah, I'll share my screen here. And I've got just a longer term view here on Ethereum. Hopefully you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the way market structures played out, I'm not going to try to overcomplicate this, right? You had your bear market rally coming off of your ascending triangle back last market cycle, right? We came in, we retested that zone as support, and then we shot upwards. If we go to where we're at right now, we're seeing the exact same thing. So you had your kind of your dead cat bounce. You've got your ascending triangle forming here, which is a bullish pattern. We've broken out of the top of it, and now we're back testing it as support. If I'm right about Bitcoin and Bitcoin's going to rip up here to new highs, then I think Ethereum follows probably twice as hard, just because any success for the Bitcoin ETFs is going to be very telling it's going to lead to a lot of speculation, because we do expect Ethereum ETFs to be decided on sometime over the summer. So And then you've just got the expanding volatility. That's another bullish pattern. This kind of accumulation cylinder is what it's called. Obviously, if we fall below this kind of support level, then it's not ideal, especially if we start breaking down below this trend line. Then we've got bigger problems, and that means Bitcoin's probably tanking. But if Bitcoin breaks to new highs, I think going long here on Ethereum is smart. I'll be looking to build some ETH longs here too. Actually, I've built Blur long. I'm trading ETH beta, so stuff that's going to outperform ETH if Ethereum goes up. Blur, launching a layer 2, also NFT exchange. So I am long Ethereum beta already, but I'll probably look to build some ETH positions here soon. I think this is just a good support region. I don't think people should be using like more than 3x leverage probably here. I do think that, you could get liquidated pretty easily if you're using like 10, 15, 20x leverage. I think just looking at the daily chart here, I'm pretty bullish.
So I can't use 10x leverage? Burst my bubble there, bro.
I mean, I use it from time to time,
can.
just not, I personally wouldn't on ETH here.
I'm just kidding. We like to have fun around here. We like to make jokes. Rob, any thoughts on the what do you think going into the weekend? No ETF buying and selling, right? We've seen some red days on Sundays. Well, from a sentiment standpoint, from no charts. Well, what are you feeling going into the weekend? What are you expecting come Monday, the price of Bitcoin and how the market's going to be?
Okay, well, you have the halting of the sell pressure from Grayscale because they're not going to be dumping over the weekend. Now orders will come in and they'll open up and fulfill that on Monday. So you kind of have like a futures on the spot over the weekend. I mean, we see it in the stock market all the time anyways. You'll see that something is going to open up a percent or two higher or lower than where it was on Friday. That's common, but they're not gonna be shipping out Bitcoin over the weekend, and so that OTC deals will subside. The selling from that side will subside. So for me, I do think that the rally continues. I do think that maybe 43, 44. I don't think we'll quite cross over 45K over the weekend, but I do think we'll go a little higher, man. I think I will wake up tomorrow. We'll see a $43,000 Bitcoin above 43,000. Going in Sunday, 44 maybe. I don't think we'll get much more than that. My opinion, but okay. 43, 44 by the end of the weekend, and then let trading resume on Monday. Yeah.
Notice you said trading, not selling.
Trading, yeah.
Grayscale.
Michael
Sonnenschein, if you're watching, reduce your damn fee.
I mean, it was just 2 weeks ago. We were over 45K. So now, yeah.
Okay. I want to share an article from one of my favorite analysts, and that is the great Lynn Alden. Man, if you guys, if you haven't read her book, Broken Money, do yourself a favor, buy it, read it. Absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't watched her interviews, do yourself a favor, watch her interviews. Subscribe to her newsletter, follow her on Twitter. The way she breaks information down is phenomenal. I love Lynn Alden. Trying to get her on the show. One day we're going to get her on the show. But this article here highlights Lynn Alden's 5 metrics that make Bitcoin highly investable. And I'm curious to get your guys' takes on which one you think is the most important, or which one you think is, the one, if you had to pick one, these investors would pick as to why they're going to invest. One is market capitalization and liquidity. Bitcoin is making higher highs and higher lows. He says this on a long term, maybe take a look at the month time frame, a positive sign for the asset. Moreover, liquidity is increasing, leading to a positive network effect. The bigger the entities buying in, the more the bigger entities can enter. 2, Bitcoin's convertibility is increasing. It's that blend of both payments and savings that is important. If I bring Bitcoin with me, could I spend or convert it for value without much hassle? So that is her second base case. Third is Bitcoin is Lindy. Now, what does that mean? The longer a technology or an idea has been around, the longer their future life expectancy, according to the Lindy effect. Number 4, user experience becoming more intuitive. Very few average investors use the actual Bitcoin network, let alone apps on it. But Alden sees continuing improvements on that front with a rising number of Bitcoin ATMs, more intuitive hardware and software, and communication protocols. And finally, Bitcoin cannot be banned. So essentially, people using it as a hedge against their government. So if you had to pick one of these 5, and I'll ask you first, Robin, one of these 5, right? Which one do you think is the most important, or maybe has the most positive effect on why people should enter Bitcoin?
I just look at where we're at in the market cycle, and the liquidity is the absolute most important thing for me. Probably why she has it listed as number 1. Without the liquidity, you don't have the means or the market to cater to large buys, right? Just think of it this way: if we would have had a 10, because we're forecasting forward into the next bull market. We say that Bitcoin will get to, what's it, $250,000, something like that. Wherever you think it's going to land. Obviously, bull market, it's going to be a lot higher than it is now. Historically, Bitcoin's market cap was at $1 trillion. Market cap for all of crypto coming in at $1.5 trillion right now, or 1.6. So if you want crypto to get to that $10-20 trillion market cap, I think 10 trillion is probably what is more conservative for next bull market. 20 trillion, maybe, for if you add up all the alts and you get really parabolic move, you could see something upwards of that size. But anyways, last bull market, $1 trillion market cap on Bitcoin, mismanagement across the board from market providers, and a lack of liquidity. So imagine if market cap would have been 10 times the size, how big the collapse of FTX would have been. Or, we were at $1 trillion on Bitcoin, 2 trillion on all of crypto, and we had the fall of Celsius, the fall of BlackRock, we had the fall of Signature Bank, which technically they closed, the fall of FTX, fall of Voyager. All of these market providers couldn't sufficiently handle the liquidity that the market was swirling around in the markets, right? They had to draw down, and they had to close up shop. So there was no way we could have gotten a $10 trillion market cap, because the providers wouldn't have been able to handle it. And we always hear about it all the time. Hey, if someone wants to come into the market and a whale wants to come in, buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, there's no way you can do it. I mean, you'd have to spread out your buys. It'd have to be over a long period of time. You'd have to work with several OTZ providers. It would be extremely difficult for you to enter and then also exit the market. So for these investors, they want liquid markets that they know that if they need to sell for whatever reason, if they buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, they need to know, hey, I can sell this if I need to in some kind of timely manner. And so for me, if you want to get the next bull market, you want that $250,000 Bitcoin, you have to have the liquidity providers there. And that is here with the ETF. This is now the largest market in the world. The New York Stock Exchange is now offering Bitcoin. They are the largest liquidity provider. So now if you do have $1 billion on the side, you want to get exposure, do a giant buy. The liquidity is here, and that will be the fuel for the next bull market.
That is why, before I ask Forrest, that is why before Elon Musk put Bitcoin on Tesla's balance sheet, they did a test transaction. I don't know how many millions of dollars it was, to see how easy it would be to sell and get their money, right?
He even sold $250 million. He sold $250 million worth of Bitcoin at one point, and simply stated it was to test the exit liquidity of the market.
Literally what I just said.
Yeah, no, you're saying
I wasn't sure
buy.
about the number. Yeah. Okay, so it was a $250 million.
Yeah.
Forrest, which one of these do you think is the most important or carries the most weight? Market cap and liquidity, Bitcoin's convertibility as far as being a store of value and a medium of exchange, Bitcoin being around for a longer period of time, user experience, or that Bitcoin cannot be banned. So essentially a hedge against governments. And while Forrest is answering, I want the chat to participate as well. Which one of these do you think is the most important for mass adoption? Forrest, what are your thoughts?
I mean, like, not to be that guy, but like none of them. I think the only reason I'm really bullish on Bitcoin and crypto in general, but specifically Bitcoin, is that BlackRock and like all these other asset managers are launching ETFs and shilling the bags. I don't care about decentralization when it comes to investment performance. Like you see this in the meme coin market, right? You see all these random tickers with no fundamentals whatsoever, no level of decentralized. It's just terrible tickers that they get a lot of attention and a lot of people come in and buy the bags and the price goes up. Like there's a ticker right now. There's a coin on Solana called Dog with Hat. It's a picture of a dog with a hat on. You have Dogecoin. You have Shiba.
You leave that dog and the hat out of this, Forrest?
you have all these coins, and if you really boil it down to, like, I'm not going to call Bitcoin a meme coin because I do think it's more than that. But if you just strip everything away, like what matters for an asset's price to go up is more people need to keep buying it after you buy it. Like if I buy Bitcoin and nobody else buys it after me, or there's more people selling it after me than there are buying, the price is going to go down. So if all I care about is price going up, and then ultimately all I care about is who's going to buy it after I buy it. Well, in this case, because of all these ETFs launching, and because the largest asset managers in the world are shilling it and pushing it on their clients and holding seminars to educate their clients on it, and they're just going to sit and try to gather as much AUM as possible in these Bitcoin ETFs. I'm bullish on it. And I think that's the number one reason to be bullish on Bitcoin. I don't think that the fundamentals matter and I guess this is a hot take. I don't know. Maybe it's a hot take. I don't think the fundamentals of Bitcoin matter nearly as much as the fact that the biggest asset managers,
You're crazy.
the biggest asset managers in the world, if they were shilling Tesla stock this hard, if they were shilling literally anything, gold, anything this hard, I would be bullish on it.
Forrest, shame on you. Shame on you.
Hey, I think that's the number one reason to be bullish.
I appreciate a lot of people are afraid to speak their mind about what they truly believe because of the backlash. I respect you for sharing your opinion. I agree with you that if you're only speculating on Bitcoin, I agree with you. None of that really matters. Liquidity, probably the most important thing in that sense. But I think for a lot of people, man, they buy and hold Bitcoin because of multiple reasons. Because look at the people in Argentina and Venezuela and Turkey. Look at countries like Lebanon who purposely devalued their currency, and people are sick of it. So they look to the left and then look to the right. What do I have available? Oh, here's Bitcoin. They start finding out what it is. It's decentralized, can't be mined. Look at what happened in Canada, the trucker convoy, right? After their accounts got shut off, what did people do? They started sending Bitcoin.
And refugees from Ukraine as well.
Yeah, and so I think it's take speculation out of it, right? We all want to make money. We're all going to make money. And naturally, as fiat currency continues to decline and Bitcoin's value increases relative to fiat, you're going to be in a better position. So for me, the most important thing here, although liquidity, I agree with Robin, is extremely important, I think the Lindy effect might be the most important for some people, right? Bitcoin is only 15 years old, right? 5 years ago, it was 10 years old. And you're like, I don't know. Is it going to stick around? I'm not sure. I don't feel confident putting $100,000 or, insert number here. But with the Lindy effect, as Bitcoin continues to mature, as Lynn Alden said, as the price continues to make higher highs and higher lows on a larger time frame, I think it gives people the peace of mind knowing Bitcoin is not going anywhere. I think that's very, very important for a lot of the people that are not just speculating on the price of Bitcoin. But it's liquidity, I agree, is also a big one as well. But
from a price standpoint, without the liquidity, you won't get the bull market. And so we got to take liquidity to the next level, right? because when Mount Gox, they couldn't handle the liquidity. That was 2013. There was no other exchanges. There was a lack of liquidity, so they went under. And then up comes Binance, Coinbase, a handful of other exchanges. A couple made it through. The other ones went under. And so where we saw failures in liquidity, we're seeing the stock exchange step up. I agree with both of you. I mean, from a money standpoint, from the crypto degens, hey, we're just trying to make some money here on crypto. At the end of the day, I need somebody to come in
and
and
buy. Let me ask
buy.
you this question, Robin. If you're trying to make money on crypto, are you investing
but
in Bitcoin?
but
you get a 5X,
no, but here's
the
thing. You can believe in, he mentioned Tesla stock. I mean, you can believe in you can have people pumping Tesla stock all day long. At the end of the day, it also there's a company there, and there's some people that just don't want to go buy gasoline, and they don't want to go to the gas station. They just want to charge their car at home, and they don't want to routinely, or maybe they are adamant believers in the carbon footprint of a car. Anyways, it doesn't matter. They provide a service. People like it. They use it. And whether or not you want to get behind it or not, you can buy Tesla stock, not own a Tesla. And so you don't need to be all in on the tech, basically, is what I'm saying. If you're here to make money, like a lot of us are, I don't need to use Bitcoin for banking. We have stable banking services here that I can swipe a card. Now, I don't like the banks. I think there is a transition going on.
But you don't believe in holding any Bitcoin personally as a hedge against fiat currency and what the governments do.
I mean, I'm holding Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation.
Okay. So there you go.
But I mean, you can replace that with any other hedge against inflation. I think Bitcoin is the strongest of all of them. In my opinion, you could take on more risk with altcoins, but I
think there's two buckets of people who have Bitcoin. One is speculation on price. Yeah. Two is what Bitcoin.
But I would say that the bucket of speculation on price is extremely large.
It's larger. It is.
So, and I think majority of our viewers are buying Bitcoin.
But that is
not to save the world, but to save their pockets.
That is the beauty of the market, though, right? Is you have two catalysts. One is degenerates, people leverage trading and people just speculating on price. The other one is people who actually want to buy and hold it for the reasons we all explained. So now you have two things going for you, and it's only going to be positive for Bitcoin. I want to shift the conversation to this. Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale says AI could be the next crypto catalyst. He noted that if certain consumer areas can successfully integrate AI applications, AI will become an active participant in the crypto market, making it a potential catalyst for price movement. AI agents are going to start doing a lot of things in our economy, and for AI agents to coordinate with incentive systems, they are probably going to use crypto. He highlighted Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana as the crypto most likely to be used by these AI agents. I want to share with you guys a list of, so this is the AI and big data token list. Total 21.6 billion market cap. You have some projects in here: ICP, Injective, Render, Theta, Akash Network, Fetch, Singularity, so on and so forth. Forrest, is there any AI plays on this list that you have your eyes on, or that you have maybe exposure to, or is there one that's maybe not on this list that you're most excited about? And do you agree with the overall thesis that AI could potentially drive the next crypto narrative into the bull market?
I do think AI is a very strong narrative. Obviously, I don't think there's any arguing that. But I'll be honest, AI is not an area where I am like extremely technically minded or technically educated. So I don't. I wouldn't say I've missed the AI wave. I've benefited from it greatly, but there's no, it's not a big area of focus for me in terms of what's a good AI coin, what's a bad AI coin, we're also at a point where every single coin, every single project, every single company is throwing in the AI as a buzzword. So whether or not they're really doing AI or at an advanced, meaningful level or not, to me is unclear as somebody who's not super technically minded when it comes to AI. That being said, the AI coin that I actually have makes up I have a huge position in it. don't say huge, but like large in relation to the percentage of my portfolio. It probably makes up about 10% of my portfolio now, maybe a little bit less,
Oh, wow.
5 to 10%, is Nosana. Nosana is a coin that we called out at 28 cents. It's now trading like $1.50 to $1.80. And they're kind of like Render Network. In fact, they're partnering with Render Network. There's a distributed GPU compute for AI inference. So basically GPU compute for AI stuff. And yeah, that's a coin that, you know, I took on some exposure to it because I just thought, I looked at Render Network, I looked at Akash Network, these other distributed GPU compute networks. In comparison, their market caps were, you know, 2 billion for Render Network, almost, you know, 600 million for Akash Network. And at the time, Nosana is trying to do the exact same thing or something very, very similar. And they were sitting at a $28 million market cap. So for me, that was more of just like looking at the comps, and it just so happened that they're, you know, designed and going after like the AI niche within that, you know, distributed GPU compute use case. That was kind of a way of like, hey, I'm going to also get some AI, you know, narrative exposure through this one as well. But yeah, I'm not an AI expert, not going to pretend to be. I think it's going to be a big narrative though, and I think you're going to see AI as a category because so many people are trying to get exposure to AI as a narrative. It's just going to compound itself and probably get into like an AI bubble at some point if we're not already in one. But yeah, like Nvidia's like through the roof right now.
So you said you got in at what, 38 cents?
28 cents.
28 cents. And is this something you put into your research paper?
Yeah. It was posted to the Research Hub around 28 to 30 cents. Yeah, this has been a pretty solid performer.
Are you like the Illuminati or something? You have. Okay, if you're not familiar with Forrest, this man has hit some absolute home runs. I've made so much money on that damn MAGA coin. I got in at 8 cents. 8 cents. It went to $2.20. And then you have this one at 28 cents. Still got a market cap of only $134 million. Self-reported, well, the circulating supply, according to the team, is 82 million out of 100 million total. So not bad. And if you are part of the Research Hub, you would have made a lot of money. All the money back like 50-fold as far as what you would spend on it. And if you're not, and you just don't have the time to snipe out projects like this, I am telling you right now that the link in the description of this video, if anyone caught that, there's an affiliate link to the Sistine Research Hub. Highly, 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 highly recommended. Take it from someone who has made money using it. Okay? Do yourselves a favor, man. I know I don't have that much. I mean, I do a lot of research, man, but there's so much going on. I just don't have the time to go that deep. Number 2,344 on the market cap list to find projects like this. But this man on the screen does. Robin, back to this list. Any one of these that you are eyeing or might be on your radar, or that's maybe your favorite as far as an AI narrative?
You know, as Forrest alluded to, a lot of these are just stamping AI as a narrative on something that they're probably not so much focusing on. Now, with that said, you know, like ICP, are they known for AI? I mean, I'm assuming if they're on the list, they probably have some vertical.
Like CoinGecko has a list, CryptoQuant has a list, so they're all
but they got there somewhere, right? So, anyways, I'll say this: AI is something I use every day. It's my virtual assistant, right? I use it to help me navigate the ads in Google searches, for example. If I go to search something, I can really hone in and fine tune it with AI. When it comes to graphic production for the show here, AI I almost touch AI every day creating the graphics for our show, and coding for our software that we have here, coding or just simply going through. Imagine trying to go through a PDF file that's 400 pages long. That's an instruction manual. You can simply type into AI, "Hey, this is my problem. Here's the manual. Where do I start?" And it'll just put you to the page, highlight stuff, walk you through it. And so, from a real world perspective, AI is changing things as well. Also, what I'm seeing when it comes to crypto is that decentralization is changing how we operate financially. And we're removing ourselves from institutions having 100% control and operating how, and telling our money transactions how they operate. A lot of these transactions should just be done peer to peer, which is, the whole basis of crypto. And a lot of this, it can also be integrated with smart contracts. So if you take smart contract decentralization and Oracle, and then you need one kind of conscious variable, right? That can take parameters as an example and make adjustments to keep the whole network flowing. And I think that's AI, right? I think that simply looking at a number that is static and moves that an Oracle service would look at isn't quite enough. And I don't know if trusting an institution to do clawbacks, a DAO to vote, I think that there's going to be a big space carved out for decentralization to integrate AI in combination with Oracle services to facilitate the financial movement of money, value, peer-to-peer, also for identification that's going to be stored on blockchains, the tokenization of real-world assets. I think that having AI be able to identify, if you give it parameters, to say, hey, this right here is that person. Yes, this is their wallet address. This is, I analyze their photo, cross-reference this. AI gives you the check mark. Oracle says, yes, that's their wallet. Smart contract runs the parameters. I send value, whatever contracts move back and forth. I think that's how this whole thing works. And AI is an integral part of it. And it's here to stay. And I think for decentralization, it just makes so much sense.
So that's all great, but did you pick a coin?
A coin? I don't have
No, I'm kidding. You don't have to pick a coin, but I agree with you. I'm going to pick a coin. If you're a whale member, Whale Chat, I told you guys about this project, Aleph.im. It's like Filecoin and Arweave, but in my opinion, a little better tokenomics. Been around for quite a while, since 2020. So to all the whale members, I gave you some alpha on this project 2 days ago. And so I'm trying to bring more value to our whale members. So we appreciate you guys supporting us. But this is one that I added to my bags. It's a mid cap, around 78 million, and then about, I think it was 160 fully diluted. So you look at where Filecoin got. I'm not saying it's going to go where Filecoin goes, but I think it's got a 10 to 15x potential in it, my opinion. And so, yeah, guys, that's all we got for today. Do you want to give one last shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology? If you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow, visit bluewiretech.com. Also, guys, if you want the research hub, you want access to it, you want research emailed into your inbox to get some of these massive gains that Forrest is absolutely crushing it on. We did pin the link in the comment section. I promise you it'll be worth your money.
Also, shout out Rin1010, Mike, Johnny G, St. Clair, and Dan Dykens. Wick featuring L. Hola! Welcome.
Yeah, I hope you got a good alpha show today, man. I hope you guys got some good alpha out of this. Forrest, thank you again for joining us, as always, on Fridays, my friend. We look forward to Fridays with you. The only show where we have a permanent third co-host. That says a lot about you, because we love you. We love your insights. Even though we might not agree all the time, it makes for great conversation.
I agree with Forrest all the time. You don't.
That's good, though, man. That makes for a good show. Good people need different perspectives, and then whichever one hits home with you, that's the one you kind of put more weight on. But anything you want to say for us before I tornado us out of here?
No, I mean, just thanks for having me on. What's the subscriber count up to now? You guys are just crushing it. I don't have it pulled up, but
we are at 46,557 subscribers.
50K soon, guys. Congrats on the growth. This is awesome. I know I'm going to probably say it every week, because I'm just like, I'm not surprised. it's expected that you guys are growing this fast, but it's just nice to see. I just
feel
love it
like-
every time I see that subscriber count go up.
We kind of feel like our channel's always been undervalued. People think
100%.
starting a YouTube channel is so easy. It's not, man. It's not. Throw in the fact that we had no idea how to build a studio or run production or cameras or lighting or software and building computers and it's all a learning curve. On top of that, you're like at the tippy top of the bull market is where we launched, on the way down actually. And so it's not easy, but we always felt like our channel was undervalued. I just think the numbers are finally starting to catch up to it. So wouldn't be possible without people like you, Forrest, and especially people like you watching our community.
Yeah, the viewer there. And
The
also
viewer.
A big shout out to Rocco as well, man.
Yeah, big
Over here,
Yeah.
manning that board every
Since-
day, man. Just
Except
that
he's-
thing's a complex machine.
Except he's an XRP fan. But that's besides that.
I'm BTC too. I mean,
like
Forrest, whatever he makes money, I don't care what he does.
Funny because XRP has literally made you no money. With that being
Says-
said,
Somebody doesn't have any XRP. Oh, I got something before we go.
I
I got
actually
something
have
for you, Dave. For the weekend.
Yeah.
Now you can go.
tornado for Rocco.
Let's do it.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you had an amazing week. Come back Monday. We have the founder of Near Protocol, Ilya Polasukin, joining us. Talk about everything near. You do not want to miss that show. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Peace.
City, crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners.
Shout out to Diamond Hands Daryl. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday.
Coins, they polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin, and sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.